Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. And welcome back, my friends, to Event Comics Month 4, Secret Metal Armageddon 2. While the majority of votes this year skewed towards more modern events, we had a 30-year-old event last week. And today's one that's half its age, but still feels like it didn't happen that long ago. This one I suspect got voted on because, like some other events people have voted on, it's a name being utilized for an upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe story. Hello from the past, people rewatching this long after that came out. Hope the pandemic's over. Please let the pandemic be over! Anyway, since this is the more modern event, we need to back up a bit and explain a lot of context for what happened leading into this. Some of it you should already know from previous episodes, but there's still a lot of it. As detailed in the House of M review, the Scarlet Witch supposedly went insane and her actions broke up the original Avengers. A new team of Avengers soon launched afterwards, and the events of House of M occurred. While on Earth, the Superhero Registration Act was starting to be discussed in the build-up to the Event Comics Civil War, which I've only technically reviewed because instead I did a top 15 list of problems. And I keep thinking that maybe I should go ahead and put it back on the voting list for Event Comics Month. But that would also mean I'd have to read it again, and I hate that idea. There was another event comic happening focusing on Marvel cosmic stuff, Annihilation. That's a whole story in itself, but the point is that the homeworld of the shape-shifting aliens known as the Skrulls was completely destroyed during it. In the wake of the Civil War, the Avengers splintered. There was the official group headed by Iron Man, sanctioned by the government and pro-registration, while a splinter group of Avengers led by Luke Cage, made of anti-registration heroes, was running around trying to do their own thing, especially in the wake of Captain America's death. Spoilers, he never got better. Captain America remained dead and Secret Empire never happened, and it was the only death in comics that was never undone. And if you believe that, wow, you really are new here, aren't you? Anyway, point is that during this time, there was a prevailing criticism of Marvel that a lot of heroes were acting out of character, or at the very least, engaging in villainous and morally dubious activities, alienating fans of these heroes, etc. There was generally just this feeling like either the writing was bad or that they needed to fit a square peg into a round hole and it just wasn't working. Civil War was especially like that, and it left a sour taste in people's mouths. And Luke Cage began to suspect, yeah, something is up with all this. Maybe there was something more at play, something connecting all these events together. And during a mission that brought them to Japan, they ended up fighting the ninja organization known as the Hand, and their leader, former Daredevil love interest and also once dead character Elektra. And that's when the other shoe dropped. During the fight, Elektra gets stabbed and dies, and her body reverts to a Skrull. A Skrull completely undetectable by magic, spider sense, telepathy, technological scan, etc., etc. Now, this wasn't the first time the Skrulls had attempted to invade Earth, but it was definitely the most elaborate. A massive effort was being made to try to cover all their bases and keeping the heroes of Earth from finding out. And the fact that they were infiltrating something like the Hand, a ninja organization that had nothing to do with major political power, meant that this was a very different sort of invasion. Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, was working with Luke Cage's Avengers until she decided to take the Skrull corpse to Tony Stark. The rest of the team was against this because, frankly to them, Tony Stark was the one acting the most out of character of all, and thus most likely to be a Skrull. Just to spoil it here, no, he was not. And you know what? This is a point where I have to give Marvel some credit. They could have used this as a get-out-of-jail-free card. They could have used this to excuse all of the unpopular creative decisions from the last few years, wipe the slate clean. But they didn't. They stuck to their guns and didn't try to undo what they had done. They believed firmly that these were the right creative decisions, and that takes some courage. It was probably the wrong call to make, but you have to acknowledge the conviction. They weren't taking the easy way out. Tony, needing someone he figured he could mostly trust, since she brought it to his attention, reinstated Spider-Woman onto his Avengers to try to suss out any Skrulls among them. Meanwhile, Nick Fury, in exile from S.H.I.E.L.D. and on the run for his involvement in another miniseries sometime back, discovered a Skrull imposter as well, and warned Maria Hill, who was placed in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. after him, to start being more cautious and paranoid about the people under her command while he tried to figure out how this all came together. As for the Skrulls themselves, we soon had a full breakdown of why they were doing this. Long story short, they had a new queen, Varank, I don't know, one previously banished for her religious beliefs and prophecy that the future of their race would be on Earth. As such, they truly believed with religious fervor that they needed to take over Earth. In fact, she believed so much in this cause that she decided to be part of the invasion force, taking over the life of a hero herself as part of this, Spider-Woman. Which is of course hilarious because the running joke at the time was that Spider-Woman kept acting as like a quadruple agent for multiple powers and people. For Hydra, for S.H.I.E.L.D., for Nick Fury, and now for the Skrulls. Things start coming to a head as more Skrulls become exposed, either to readers or the audience. The Inhuman leader Black Bolt, Hank Pym, who started the 50-state initiative in Civil War so that every state in the USA would have a superhero team in it, and consequently a Skrull in each one, and more. And that brings us to Secret Invasion itself. The build-up was massive, starting from that one exposed Elektra Skrull to now every book tying into it and ad campaigns about Secret Invasion. The tagline, "Who do you trust?" And then finally, embrace change, showing Skrulls becoming a normal part of everyday life. The hype train was honestly pretty impressive, matched only by Infinite Crisis a few years earlier at DC. Did the Secret Invasion event comic live up to the massive hype for it? Nope! And it can be summed up by my colleague LAG. When I started doing videos, he had already done several comic reviews before me, and that includes one on Secret Invasion, and he summed up the event by its true name.
Secret Invasion. More like damn obvious assault, am I right? Still got it.
Let's dig into Secret Invasion and show you what we mean.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. What's with these awkward subjects? What's all this art so rubbish? To anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he is a man punch, sporadically a grouch. Linkara, he has his own spaceship, but he's always on his couch. Linkara, ghosts, gods, a universe in flux. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
We're covering 8 issues today, so no looking at the covers. Not that there's much to really look at with them, they're surprisingly generic. Not bad, but it's a lot of painted, or at least painted-looking shots of heroes and villains standing around. Sometimes they're replaced with Skrulls. It's shockingly underwhelming for this event. We open on a flashback to that bit I mentioned in the intro, the Skrull Queen Varank being informed of the homeworld being destroyed, and thus her deciding to fulfill the prophecy and conquer Earth. We cut over to Tony Stark as he brings the Elektra Skrull body to Hank Pym and Reed Richards. There's a minor continuity issue here, as Tony had already shown it to him along with the other members of the Illuminati. Oh, yeah, in case you forgot World War Hulk, the Illuminati are a group of some of Marvel's most powerful or smartest heroes. Given what a poor state the world is in the Marvel Universe, you can tell they're just as bad at running things as the Illuminati that's supposed to exist here. I suppose you could say Reed is pretending not to know about it to keep the secret of the group, but whatever. Point is, they've got the body. They know, or at least suspect, that the Skrulls are up to something, so the two are tasked with finding a way of detecting them. Up in orbit, longtime S.H.I.E.L.D. supporting character Dum Dum Dugan is visiting the orbital headquarters of SWORD, the partner agency of S.H.I.E.L.D. that deals with extraterrestrial threats. Naturally, such a threat is on its way. We got a bogey, and it's coming in fast! Knowing Dum Dum Dugan's luck and history, it's probably going to be Space Godzilla. Actually, it's a Skrull ship that's on its way to crashing on Earth in the middle of the Savage Land. Back over to the autopsy, the three heroes are gathered around it. Okay, Tony, what exactly are we looking for? Their nipples to start with. I mean, I know they're a reptilian species, but if they've got boobs, they should have nipples, right? Like, seriously, what kind of censoring job is that, Marvel? I'm only not censoring this myself because I don't think this technically counts because of it being an alien and said lack of nipples, even in a faraway shot 2 panels later. Tony is informed of the Skrull ship's crash and naturally goes out to investigate, telling Spider-Woman to summon his Avengers since this could be it. She, in turn, calls up Luke Cage to inform them too. However, the group doesn't have a jet, so with the help of the hero Cloak, they teleport in and steal the Quinjet that Black Widow was prepping for this mission. Just FYI, Tony Stark can take control of this Quinjet from his armor. Not anymore, I just gutted the motherboard. Consequently, the Skrull ship is now not the only thing that's crashing. They don't think it's Tony setting a trap, but Luke Cage is hoping that if it is a trap, it's a Skrull one. I'm so sick of hiding. I'm sick of not trusting each other. I miss my wife and kid. I want to put this right. I want things to go back to normal. Yeah, unless all or most of Congress was replaced with Skrulls, the Superhero Registration Act is still a thing, even if Tony Stark was a Skrull. Actually, now that would have still worked great. Keep the character development between the heroes, but have the act be repealed so that everyone has to work out their problems with each other. Anyway, they get attacked by a dinosaur, comic books, and do indeed crash, everyone heading out to get to the crashed Skrull ship. Iron Man's Avengers soon arrive as well, Tony demanding they stand down and let them handle this. Luke, distrustful of Tony, starts ripping open the ship, while the actual invasion begins. Dum-Dum Dugan, who was also replaced by a Skrull in an earlier book, activates bombs on the Sword satellite, blowing it up and sending its occupants into space, although contained in, like, blue jello or something. Standard safety tech, I guess. While Avengers butler Jarvis, also revealed as a Skrull, uploads a virus into Tony's systems. However, it seems the virus wasn't just for him. The S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, as per usual, was also hit and starts falling to the ground. All of Stark's systems are infected, disabling weapons, satellites, and even prisons, which frees supervillains to start running amok. Novar, anti-hero is probably the best descriptor for him, aka the character Marvel Boy, also decides to leave. It's important I explain that to you, because Marvel Boy is not important in this story, and we needed some padding to set up future story stuff. Next hit is Norman Osborn, who at this point was actually in charge of the government-operated Team Thunderbolts, long story, and in turn, Thunderbolts Mountain, their base, is attacked by Captain Marvel. Yeah, another part of the build-up to the event. The Skrulls sent their own version of the original Captain Marvel in to do stuff as a sleeper agent, but it turns out they did their job too well with him, as he has so much of Mar-Vel's own memories and personality that he actually wants to work against them. And then over to the Baxter Building, where a Skrull infiltrates it as Sue Storm on a suicide mission, activating a portal to the negative zone that sucks in most of the building, which includes the Thing, Johnny Storm, and the Fantastics kids. And back in the Savage Land, the craft opens up, revealing a crap ton of what appears to be heroes, including duplicates of some of the team there to meet them, as well as Captain America, who was dead at the time following Civil War. And this is really where I think the book overplayed its hand a bit, having a few in there to really screw with readers' heads. Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, even Sue Storm, given what we just saw, that would be fine. But Cap, Hawkeye, duplicates of Luke Cage and Spidey? No, it's all fake. For one thing, we've seen what happens to Skrull imposters when they die. They revert to a Skrull, and that never happened to the original Cap when he was killed. And after a Hawkeye's resurrection post-House of M, having a second Hawkeye? Nope. Same goes for Luke Cage and Spider-Man. We've been with them too much to have them turn out to be Skrulls. In-universe, it's fine. The characters have to have that doubt, but for the audience, it's asking too much of them to believe it. As the full force of the Skrull invasion fleet approaches, which instantly makes the title Secret Invasion now completely moot. We're now 2 for 2 on misleading event titles. Do we have 3 next time? Reed Richards thinks he's figured out how the Skrulls made them so undetectable, only to be shot by Skrull Hank Pym, which turns Reed into stretchy goop everywhere. The first issue ends with him reverting to his Skrull form in, honestly a pretty impressive artistic transition, kind of making it look like the Skrull skin is wrapping itself around the human bits and strands. Kudos to Lainell Francis Yu on the art here. Less so on the final panel, where it seems this particular Skrull is infected with Youngblood's disease, and he's just grimacing awkwardly. Ew, I didn't know the gun was gonna do that to him. I have to clean him up and bring him to the others now, and he's everywhere! Anyway, issue 2 picks up with the encounter in the Savage Land. Chaos, and a fight, soon erupts as either side tries to assert authority or figure out what's going on, or just generally being pissed at the presence of a duplicate of the other. Carol Danvers flies Tony off to a wrecked structure nearby to help him recover, while dialogue is exchanged and insults and assertions are made. And then there's a T-Rex that wanders in to scatter them all. The funniest answer to all this is that only the T-Rex is a Skrull. The structure is a former laboratory, so Tony hopes to use it to rebuild his armor and technology from scratch to deal with the virus. He orders Carol to go head back to the mainland, that clearly this is just a big distraction to get them all out of the way while the main action happens elsewhere. I built my armor from a lot less than this. I'm gonna do the one thing Skrulls can't imitate. Use my brain. Unfortunately, it turns out this was a former entomology lab, so Tony is stuck trying to make new armor out of dung beetles. Also, Tony Stark, cave, box of scraps meme, you know the drill. While she flies off, Luke Cage and Wolverine reunite, discovering that the Spider-Man who was on the Skrull ship got trampled by the T-Rex, and is remarkably intact given that, but he was a Skrull, as we can see. So maybe they're just really pliant. Although their clothes aren't, since apparently that pointy Skrull ear just needed to shoot out. Nearby, the two find another person who was on the transport, Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird. The Hawkeye that was with her is also dead and revealed as a Skrull, and she seems to be crying about this, but Wolverine just believes her to be yet another imposter. Insert your own Among Us joke here. Oh, wait. This one is relevant given what Quentin Reviews just put out.
Among Us.
She claims that they knew that some among their number could have been Skrulls, but that this sucks for her. The real Hawkeye, who's technically going by the name Ronin at this point, but for simplicity's sake, just gonna keep referring to him as Hawkeye, is nearby and shoots at Wolverine to get him to back off. He and Mockingbird, before she died in the late 90s, were an item, so he needs confirmation if it's her or not. As such, he tests her. Tell me something about October 12th. Linkara released his review of The Ring Volume 1 really late into the month. That was October 16th. Wait, he released his review of Nightmare on Elm Street Paranoid number 3? Wrong! It was the second issue, not the third, Skrull! The actual significance is that the two were apparently going to have a child that would have been born on October 12th, but she had a miscarriage and they didn't tell anyone about it. As such, Hawkeye believes her to be the genuine article. Back in Manhattan, as the Baxter Building continues to eat itself, the Skrull ships arrive and start bombarding the city, as well as unleashing a small armada of Super Skrulls. Since I don't think we've covered them before, Super Skrulls are members of their force who have been enhanced specifically with the powers of various heroes, usually a combination of them for each. Some of the choices here are questionable, like what the hell is even up with those claws, Wolver Skrull? But yeah, that ends issue 2. Issue 3 opens with the SHIELD helicarrier in the waters of the Bermuda Triangle. This is in spite of the fact that when we first saw the helicarrier falling, it was over a massive city that I kind of presumed to be New York. Although it is the Bermuda Triangle and this is the Marvel Universe, it's entirely possible that's like a secret city of gopher people who all live in the Bermuda Triangle. Maria Hill leads the SHIELD agents to get weapons and head to the flight deck. I've had the same car since I was 19 years old. Never had a problem. Yet this thing falls out of the sky every other Thursday. Yeah, but the fact that it keeps getting back up again is probably a testament to good craftsmanship at least. On the flight deck is the Skrull impersonating Jarvis, who wants Maria Hill's surrender. Back over at Thunderbolt's Mountain, the Captain Marvel Skrull gets ready to kill some of them, but he can't seem to bring himself to do it. Norman Osborn, seeing an opportunity, decides to talk to him. My name's Norman Osborn. This is my office you trashed and my people you smacked around. Would you like to have a drink and talk about it? Are you a clone? Because boy do I have some clone stories to tell you, bud. Also going to take this opportunity, since he's on the page, to note that I absolutely hate how Marvel books of the last 20 years have drawn Venom with human eye holes on the face. Completely ruins his monstrous visage, and instead just looks like a guy with goofy white face paint around said eyes. Anyway, the Hank Pym Skrull summons the heroes being trained for the 50-state initiative, and sends them to New York to fight the Super Skrulls. The Young Avengers are already there engaging the Super Skrulls as they arrive to help. Back in the Savage Land, Spider-Woman meets up with Tony Stark and reveals herself as a Skrull, claiming that he is as well, that he's been a deep cover operative this whole time who was around specifically to divide the heroes up. I don't know if anybody was fooled by this at the time, but just... I don't know. It feels so forced to play into what the audience wanted that it seems unbelievable to me. Sure, if they had actually revealed it was true, fine, but especially in hindsight, it doesn't really enhance the story much. The battle in New York continues. Lots of punching. Vision gets shot through the face.
'Tis but a scratch.
Seriously, he's back again immediately. And before the Super Skrulls can do anything more, Nick Fury and his new Howling Commandos, or Secret Warriors as they're later called, suddenly show up and he uses a massive gun to blow a Super Skrull up, ending issue 3. That was less than 1 page of script to describe the major events of the 3rd issue of a massive event comic. And frankly, the stuff I left out was, like, Spider-Woman Skrull knocks person unconscious, and Hulkling fails to get the Skrulls to stop attacking him. There's nothing of story significance here. Like with House of M during the last event comics month, Brian Michael Bendis is the master of stretching a story's length beyond what it should be. Now, to be fair,
To be fair,
this story is not as padded as House of M was, but it's still pretty padded. Most of the story is just fight scene after fight scene in various locales. Secret Invasion is unique as an event because all the actual interesting stuff happens in the tie-ins. The character drama, the cool plot points, all the stuff you wanted out of a story where the Skrulls are invading. It's not here. You have to buy everything else. This comic is here so characters can pose and punch each other. It is a story where there are a bunch of moments in it that are supposed to be cool or interesting or exciting, but they just hit with all the force of a limp spaghetti noodle. Hey, this is a story about the Skrulls being religiously motivated, right? Want to see Hercules lead a band of gods against the Skrulls pantheon? Well, go to the tie-ins because it ain't here. Want to see Skrulls not part of the invasion effort having to deal with the emotional fallout of this? Not gonna see it here. Want to see the backstories and logic behind some of the Skrulls' actions and the people they send in? The fake Captain America and all they did to make him think he was the real deal? Not in this story. Go to the tie-ins! I mentioned last time that the main event miniseries should act as the big picture of the event and how it's progressing, leaving the tie-ins to go into more detail on the smaller stuff. But Secret Invasion takes that philosophy too far. There is no emotional core to this story, no main character driving events forward. We're just seeing the broad strokes with a few bits of red herring character stuff that can't be dwelled on because we need to get to the next fight scene. Issue 4 shows us Reed Richards captured by the Skrulls and being tortured while Spider-Woman gives a monologue about their evil plan. And this bit really bugs me. The Empire has taken the planet Earth for their own. It's ours. That's happened. No! It hasn't! You control nothing! The invasion is currently underway, but you hold no territory, you're actively engaged in combat on multiple fronts, and even your agents are attempting to force a surrender from military leaders, but have not done so as of yet. See, what's funny is that Secret Empire actually got this right. Sure, the Empire wasn't a secret, but at the start of the story, the bad guys had won! America was under Hydra's control. The secret invasion had occurred, and society was dealing with it. Here, the secret invasion is not a secret, and while an invasion is technically occurring, as far as we see in just the central miniseries, they're launching one major assault that will fail. Hence, again, the real title of this story.
More like damn obvious assault, am I right? Oh my god, they're shapeshifters. It all makes sense now.
Criminy, we're not even halfway through yet! Anyway, I know I should be recounting some of her speechifying since it's one of the few moments of proper grandiosity for this story, but her saying stuff like, "We're just like humans, acting as colonizing assholes who take what they want, and we know how you'll react, and you're just gonna turn on each other." Like, none of that comes into play later. Like some kind of clever turnaround on her, or some dramatic thesis statement or something. It's just the villain speech. Anyway, back in New York, the fight continues. Nick Fury's team, who isn't really given a proper introduction until a tie-in comic after issue 5, makes good work against the Skrulls, though because of tie-in shenanigans, Fury thinks Miss Marvel's a Skrull and shoots her back, leaving her against the Super Skrulls while he rescues the Initiative heroes and Young Avengers. And Spider-Woman's Skrull just says that they were playing on humanity's paranoia this whole time with their efforts. They already didn't know who to trust, and we just sat back and waited till all the paranoia had built to hysteria. We waited till they were attacking and killing each other. Man, I'd love to read the Secret Invasion story that she's talking about, because that's not how things were going down in the lead up to this. Like, maybe if Luke Cage's Avengers, so convinced by the Skrull infiltration, had murdered someone who wasn't a Skrull while thinking it was, that would make sense for this. But nope! We've just been finding Skrulls left and right in certain key positions. That's all. And it's hard to call it unfounded paranoia when there really are shape-shifting aliens trying to take over the planet. Black Widow, overhearing the evil speech, gets ready to move in and deal with her, but a distraction from Skrull, Beast, and Jean Grey forces her to shoot them instead, allowing Spider-Woman to get away. Black Widow is unconvinced by the idea of Tony being a Skrull, that the Skrulls could have killed him at any number of times with Jessica among them, so really this was just about defeating Tony, breaking him. And she simplifies the situation down thusly. Skrull or not, I'm asking, right now, do you want to kill me or kill them? Them. Let's go with that feeling then, and worry about the rest later.
There is logic in what he says.
While Wolverine joins the two, helpfully shot by Black Widow to prove he's not a Skrull, in orbit, the commanding officer of SWORD, Agent Brand, seriously, no code name for her, like Green Brand or something, she's just Agent Brand or Abigail Brand, manages to float over to one of the Skrull ships and goes in through an airlock, discovering everything that's going on. And then, back on the helicarrier, Jarvis Skrull reveals that all the agents pointing guns at him are in fact Skrulls as well, so Maria Hill is looking rather screwed. Well, check in with you next month, Maria Hill, decompressed storytelling and all that. The criminal lord known as the Hood starts organizing his forces to help defend Earth. And in the city, the Super Skrulls have new problems on their hands as Thor and Captain America arrive. Oh, right, I should probably explain. Bucky Barnes took on the mantle of Captain America for a while after Steve Rogers' death. Be honest though, you could totally believe that they resurrected him during the middle of an event comic, right? And that's another issue in the can. More moments that are supposed to be cool, but really offer nothing of substance. More tiny advancements in the actual non-combat portions of this. I mean, I'll give it credit. As an event, it's touching on basically every corner of the Marvel Universe, and that helps build up how this is a global crisis, and it shows the most important things going on. But that also just means we're wasting a lot of time on irrelevancy. Was anyone out there wondering what the Hood was doing during all this? And the padding nature of this event is not helped by the sheer amount of 2-page spreads there are in all the issues so far. But look, we need to stretch this event out as much as possible. We don't just have tie-in issues that interrupt a regular issue, we have tie-in miniseries to go through as well! I'm not kidding. If we go by Secret Invasion #1 as the official start of the event, there are 93 individual comic issues that tie into this! And even if we were being generous and only counting tie-in miniseries as a whole instead of each issue of them, that's still 71 tie-ins! And don't get me started on all the build-up issues, which also had Secret Invasion plastered across the top of the cover. If we go by the reveal of the Elektra Skrull, there are 38 of those! And hell, I'm just going by the digital collection that I have of it. There might be more that somehow didn't make it in. No wonder there's nothing of substance in the central miniseries. It was all sucked away to go into 133 other comics. Anyway, back on track here, issue 5. Norman Osborn convinces the Captain Marvel Skrull to act as Earth's protector and go fight the Skrulls, organizing his own forces to join the fight. If anyone does anything out of character, shoot them on sight. Like if they slept with blonde-haired girlfriends of Spider-Man or something. That would be really weird and out of character. The recovered heroes arrive at Nick Fury's base, where we learn that all global transmissions have been jammed by the Skrulls, who instead transmit images of celebrities, politicians, superheroes, and even Stephen Colbert. Yeah, that was a thing. Colbert and Marvel were kind of doing cross-promotion stuff at the time, where the Skrulls basically say, "It's okay, everybody, we're in charge now, and our religion is the right one, and you should welcome us with open arms because you guys suck, and also we'll kill you if we disobey. The Empire has everything you could ever dream of, and things you haven't been able to imagine. Doom has a very big imagination, imposter. For instance, he is imagining the many things he will do to your pointy ears when he finds you for impersonating Doom!" They end with "Embrace Change," that slogan used as part of the promotional campaign for the comic. And the big reveal with that is just Stephen Colbert, Oprah, John McCain, and Steve Jobs telling us to accept an alien invasion. Also, Cartman from South Park? What? Did the Skrulls transform into a cartoon character? Oh my god, was that the first VTuber? Anyway, back in orbit, Agent Brand fails to bluff her way past the Skrulls that found her and just shoots them all, freeing Mr. Fantastic from his torture, as well as releasing all the remaining Skrulls into space. He starts working on their computer systems. At the helicarrier, Maria Hill gets her moment of badass, and to be honest, this one I'm actually kind of in favor of. People only familiar with the MCU probably only know of Hill as Nick Fury's second in command, but in the comics, she kind of had a bad rap and reputation, only being introduced a few years before this event and being kind of a stupid asshole. Hell, it could be argued that her actions jump-started the superhero civil war by her deciding to aim guns at Captain America before the Registration Act had even gone into effect. So here she gets a chance to be a hero, revealing that, per a tie-in issue building up to this, Nick Fury had come to her and advised her to start using life model decoys, aka android stand-ins, for her own safety. And thus she has done the same here as she refuses to surrender, allowing her real self to shoot the Skrulls on the deck, then self-destruct the helicarrier. Although this might still be considered an asshole moment, I'm like 90% certain that there were still a lot of non-Skrulls on the helicarrier, and she just blew them up. Cool jetpack at least. Also, we never see her again in the event. Whoops. Back in orbit, Reed Richards works on a device to identify Skrull imposters, while Brand flies the ship out to the Savage Land to get the other heroes. Also, Captain Marvel Skrull is attacking the other Skrulls. It is a rare, depressing day when one has to declare, "Thank goodness for Norman Osborn." Black Widow's gunfire attracted the attention of everyone else in the Savage Land, leading to a new standoff between them all, until Brand and Reed Richards arrives and shoots the Skrull identifier gun, revealing that, of course, all of the people from the crashed ship were Skrulls, including Mockingbird, much to Hawkeye's horror. After shooting her dead, he declares that he's going to murder every last one of the Skrulls, ending issue 5. Spoilers, he does not end up killing every single Skrull. Moving on to issue 6, someone in the process of making this remembered, oh right, we should probably have some character stuff and plot development because we've only got 3 more issues. Captain Marvel Skrull ends up meeting with Marvel Boy and dies in his arms, telling him that he needs to help humanity because they're awesome. Well, enough of that. See you again when you show up in the final battle, being inspiring and stuff, I guess. I kid. Like I said, this issue is a step up from the last several, but a lot of that is because they need to start moving the story towards an ending, which means advancing the few plot threads they've been arranging in this. The Skrulls reestablish global communications, only to say, hey guys, I can't help but notice you haven't unconditionally surrendered. Just FYI, we have totally already won. And come on, Earth military forces, disobey your superiors and just not attack us. We totally haven't hit any official military or government-sanctioned groups. We only hit those superhero groups. The ones that are all government-sanctioned. Including the quasi-military organizations designed to repel alien invasions. God, we're bad at this! The Spider-Woman Skrull rejoins her forces and informs them of Reed Richards' escape and regrouping with the other heroes. They claim they still have an ace in the hole as long as the Wasp is with the heroes, but Spider-Woman says that plan is a last resort only. Our heroes get some character development, Tony blaming himself for bringing Spider-Woman on his team, but no regrets for the Registration Act. Again, I applaud Marvel for sticking to their guns for not just letting Tony be a Skrull to undo the damage, but at the same time, maybe it was okay for him to recognize that maybe he was wrong for other stuff. Just saying, the status quo of the Superhero Registration Act sticks around for a while afterwards. Tony just has other things going on than worrying about hunting down heroes. In any case, a lot of really stupid people take to the streets to protest in support of the Skrull invasion because... satire? I don't know. It goes nowhere and is best ignored as we return to Nick Fury's forces going back out to fight the Super Skrulls. They gather alongside the returning heroes and Bucky Barnes' Captain America, who meets Thor for the first time. And I guess Thor now has the power to summon the Skrulls all to Central Park? Or do they just decide to all come out en masse? Either way, Spider-Woman Skrull and all her forces show up to meet them. Mr. Fantastic pissed because he thinks they killed the other members of the Fantastic Four. You're not here to save us. It's all lies. You're here to punish us. Well, you should have thought of that before you found it funny to turn our brothers into cows. Okay, but in our defense, they were delicious. I'm not even kidding. Look up Skrull Kill Crew sometime if you want some seriously dark humor about that. Anyway, the Thunderbolts, led by Norman Osborn with a big gun, also arrived to join with the heroes against the Skrulls. Tony Stark giving one final warning for them to leave. Your hate is your own. Your judgment is your own. We are here to save you. We are here to change you. Just ignore what I said a single page ago about being pissed at the cows thing. And we're here because in spite of all that you've done to our empire, he loves you. Best twist they could have pulled, Secret Invasion is actually a Bachelor-style reality show about dating a Skrull. He who? God. Yeah?
Yeah?
My God has a hammer. So what you're saying is you'll join my side if it turns out our God owns a tool belt? And two-page spreads in a row fight scene. Gotta say, this big group shot of Iron Man calling out Avengers Assemble doesn't look great. I've seen worse, but it feels like there's a lot of empty space, the colors all have this muted quality to them, and some of the proportions seem off. Like, how big is the hood supposed to be back there? Or is he standing on a rock? And what's up with Cassie Lang? Is she kneeling down or, like, squatting instead of standing up? Anyway, issue 7. Fight scene continues. There's not a lot to say, honestly. Like with so much else, it's about moments. Nick Fury and Norman Osborn saying the others should be in jail. Cassie Lang punching Hank Pym in even more giant-sized form. And my personal favorite, Spider-Man pointing out that things are probably going fine because the Watcher hasn't shown up to witness it. And then the Watcher shows up. I mean, why shouldn't I? These kind of things are basically like the season finale for us. At Avengers Tower, Jessica Jones, watching things unfold on TV, decides to go help in the fight and leaves her baby in the care of the Skrull Jarvis, not knowing who he really is. Wait, are there 2 Jarvis Skrulls? Because what happened to the one that was on the helicarrier that exploded? And then Marvel Boy shows up and takes out a bunch of Skrulls, this being his big moment. Thanks for that payoff! 3 scenes in the entire main event comic, and the end result is... he comes down and blows up some stuff. I was gonna play a little party noisemaker sarcastically, but I couldn't find it, so I can't even muster up enough enthusiasm for that. I don't know, maybe if I was more invested in him and his story, this would hit differently, but like, I didn't even remember that he existed until I read this again for the review. And maybe there are plenty of Marvel Boy fans who are mad about that this was some pivotal, important moment for the character, and I'm not doing it justice here, but that's one of the problems with event comics, and this one in particular, when it doesn't really have central characters to follow. For people like me who didn't really know about them, if you don't give us a reason to care, then he's just some random dude I didn't know about, and it doesn't really mean anything. Given the amount of build-up and tie-ins, I'd say Secret Invasion is probably comparable to Infinite Crisis over at DC. Like Secret Invasion, it shifts perspective a lot, but the book made sure to take the time to try to have brief moments where they give the reader some backstory for characters like, say, Connor Kent, who explain the emotions they're feeling and why they're taking the actions they're taking. Power Girl gets a major focus in issues 2 and 3 and is then gone for most of the rest, but we see brief history snippets of her life and why her meeting with the Earth 2 Superman is so important, while simultaneously using it to advance the main plot of the book. The Earth 2 Superman himself has his motivations and history spelled out. Superboy Prime gets motivation and history, Batman and Wonder Woman get moments of what's driving their characters towards their plots. Yes, we get big fight scenes with hundreds of characters on the panels and plenty of have moments without big character-driven emotional arcs, but they're tethered by the emotional scenes that work so damn well. It's not perfect, but the moments I remember most in Infinite Crisis are the character ones. Power Girl's tearful remembrance of her past, Superboy Prime tearfully declaring that he's gonna be Superman even while he's doing horrible things, Batman angrily throwing a chair at his computer monitors because of Brother Eye taunting him, Earth 2 Superman realizing he was wrong. I don't get anything like that in Secret Invasion. The closest we get in my eyes, Hawkeye's anger over the fake Mockingbird, which is pretty much instantly forgotten as we move on to the next big fight scene. A Skrull tries to convince Tony Stark he's a Skrull and it goes nowhere, and then he feels kinda bad about having her on the team, even though there's no way he could have known. Secret Invasion is not bad because it's infuriating or offensive or full of out-of-character nonsense to serve a dumb plot. It's bad because it's boring. It's mediocre. It has a rich army of characters to call upon with a great premise for a story, and then does nothing with it in the actual main comic. Fight, 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 fight. Spider-Woman Skrull gets an arrow through her mouth, so she reverts to Varank. As such, the Hank Pym Skrull decides to use their last resort. A flashback to a tie-in shows him giving the Wasp a new version of their growth formula, and whatever was actually in it starts making her glow purple, and the energy from that flowing outwards. And thus we reach issue 8. Because of what Secret Invasion leads into, narration for the final issue is provided by Norman Osborn talking to the President about what happened during it. The Wasp wasn't so much a bomb as a biological weapon, and the effects of it were killing the Avengers. The heroes had to contain her, with Thor forming a tornado around her to keep it from spreading outwards, so she was the only casualty. And she was dead for a grand total of 3 years! I've had chair mats that lasted longer than that. Naturally, the heroes turn their rage against the Skrull Queen, but despite everyone ready to pounce on her, the kill shot actually goes to Norman Osborn, an event shown on TV for millions to view. The heroes soon get to work destroying the remaining Skrull ships, taking them prisoner, including one that Tony Stark discovered thanks to him hacking the vessels. A prisoner ship containing all the real people who had been replaced by Skrulls, including Spider-Woman, Elektra, Hank Pym, Jarvis, Elvis, I think. Unless it's actually Captain Marvel Jr., in which case that just raises a whole bunch of new questions. And indeed, the real Mockingbird, who happily reunites with Hawkeye. However, upon spotting the real Jarvis, Jessica Jones realizes that she left her baby with a Skrull. She and Luke Cage head back to Avengers Tower, discovering both the Jarvis Skrull and the baby gone, to be resolved in other comics later. As for why the Skrulls kept the heroes prisoner, it was apparently tied into how they were so undetectable. Something linking the imposters in their originals, and thus needing them alive. And on another happy note, the Baxter Building returns thanks to the events of a tie-in, none the worse for wear. On a less happy note for Tony Stark, Thor gives him the cold shoulder, reiterating his anger over the Civil War, and blames him for everything that's happened. Same goes for Bucky Cap. Secret Invasion serves as a kind of midpoint in a trilogy of event comics, from Civil War to this, and finally to Siege, which brings the Marvel Trinity back together. Maybe we'll cover that in a future event comics month if people vote for it. The Skrull prisoners admit that this invasion was their last hope since the Empire has been destroyed, so bummer for them, I guess. But yes, let's bring things around to what really Secret Invasion has been leading to. In the wake of all this, S.H.I.E.L.D. is disbanded, considered a compromised organization. A new one, Hammer, will be formed. Because of how Tony Stark's technology was taken out while he was director of S.H.I.E.L.D., he's stripped of his rank there, and there will be a formal hearing about his involvement in events. But oh, there's the hero who killed the Skrull Queen on national TV who can be in charge of Hammer, Norman friggin' Osborn. And so Secret Invasion ends with Norman now owning Avengers Tower and taking an elevator down. Something I didn't mention in the intro is that there was one other event that kind of goaded the Skrulls into this. Remember that Illuminati group I talked about? In the wake of another storyline called the Kree-Skrull War, the Illuminati traveled to the Skrull homeworld and staged a little attack of their own. Basically a warning of, don't mess with Earth or we'll come for you. It went badly, and the Skrulls' study of the Illuminati before they escaped helped them do all this. And so it is with no greater irony that if this all started because of a group of characters deciding to work together to try to shape the future, that it ends with Norman Osborn summoning a cabal of his own to shape the future his way. Namor, Emma Frost, Doctor Doom, Loki, and the Hood. This comic sucks, and it's a shame that it does because it could have been so much more. All this buildup, all this hype, all this talk about characters not being able to trust each other, the embrace change ads making it seem like the Skrulls were actually going to win, or there would be some twist where they'd already be among us and we just have to accept the change status quo. All this excitement over this big secret invasion, and the actual event that it led up to was a bunch of heroes standing around looking at or fighting fake heroes for a while, and then Norman Osborn is the hero. Duh end. Sure, it's a reductive way of putting it, but that's what it really boils down to. Most of this comic is fight scenes, and not particularly good ones. Just the same chaotic, how many characters can we cram into a panel making high energy poses as possible kind of fight scenes. Anything of substance or depth is restricted to the tie-ins, but even then it still boils down to the same issue. Skrulls attack, heroes fight back and win. Secret Invasion nowadays is more about its effects afterwards. This led into the initiative? I don't know if that's the right word. The branding of the Marvel Universe at that time, Dark Reign. Not an event, just a general thing happening in the books at the time where they plastered it onto every book as if it was an event. Where it seemed like the bad guys were in charge because Norman Osborn was now in a position of massive power in the Marvel Universe. He formed his own team of Avengers, with many actual heroes like Carol Danvers joining up with the ones on the run, like Luke Cage's group. Tony Stark was on the run too, as Osborn seized control of his company and tried to destroy him and his life, leading into events that wiped his memory of everything that had happened in Civil War and afterwards, giving us the character reset button they had avoided in this comic. And so, yeah, if they were just going to exonerate him of wrongdoing by wiping his memory, why didn't you just make him a Skrull anyway? It just seems like they had this great idea, this wonderful thing that they were going to do something special with, and then they got bored and started immediately working on the next big thing instead of letting things start getting back to normal. Which they eventually would, but let's skip past that for the moment to the other thing that Marvel loves to do with a lot of their events. Heroes fighting heroes. Next week, it's off to Civil War 2. Thank you for meeting with me. Okay, it's a new day, so listen carefully. This is how it's going to be. First of all, you're going to actually leave a chair for me to sit on. We did. Doom is just sitting on 2 of them. Doom requires 2 chairs to hold his magnificence. It's like a little throne. Hello, my friends. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon or purchase a t-shirt via Teespring or Shark Robot. Thanks for watching.